Harry Chandler, a Navy medic who survived the horrific attack on Pearl Harbor, passed away at the age of 103, leaving behind a legacy of courage, resilience, and a reminder of the sacrifices made during one of the darkest moments in American history. His story is not just one of survival, it is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the enduring impact of those who served in World War II. On the morning of December 7, 1941, Harry Chandler was stationed at the naval base in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. What began as a peaceful Sunday morning quickly turned into chaos and destruction, as Japan launched a surprise military strike on the U.S. Pacific Fleet. The attack was swift and brutal, leaving more than 400 Americans dead, thousands more wounded, and much of the Pacific Fleet in flames. As the first bombs fell on Pearl Harbor, Harry Chandler was at his post, preparing for the day's duties. In an instant, the tranquil morning turned into a battlefield. Chandler's first instinct was to help those around him, fellow servicemen and civilians, despite the overwhelming danger. With bombs dropping all around him and the base in flames, he acted quickly, providing first aid to the wounded and trying to assist with evacuations. Chandler was one of the fortunate survivors of the attack, but his experience would haunt him for the rest of his life. He witnessed the devastation firsthand, ships sinking, planes exploding, and his comrades losing their lives. But through it all, he did what any good medic would do. He cared for others, putting their safety and well-being above his own. His actions that day were not just acts of heroism, but reflections of a deep commitment to duty and service. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a turning point in world history, propelling the United States into World War II. For Harry Chandler, it marked the beginning of his own journey through a war that would change the world forever after the attack. Chandler served in various locations across the Pacific, continuing his work as a medic. He was involved in the medical care of soldiers, sailors, and Marines, tending to those injured in battles throughout the Pacific theater. His contributions were vital, not just in providing immediate care, but in ensuring that troops received the medical attention they needed to continue fighting. Throughout the war, Chandler experienced the hardships and sacrifices of service in a way that few others did. He saw the best and worst of humanity, from the camaraderie and bravery of his fellow soldiers to the horrors of war that tested even the strongest among them. But he remained committed to his role, even when faced with overwhelming odds. After the war ended, Chandler returned to civilian life, but his connection to the events of Pearl Harbor and the broader war remained a central part of his identity. He never forgot the faces of the fallen, the stories of the survivors, and the lessons learned during those fateful years. He remained active in veterans organizations and continued to share his experiences with younger generations, ensuring that the lessons of Pearl Harbor and World War II would never be forgotten. Harry Chandler's passing at the age of 103 is a reminder of the passing of an entire generation of war veterans. Each of them carried with them stories of sacrifice, loss, and resilience. But Chandler's story, in particular, serves as a beacon of hope and perseverance. His life was marked by one of the most defining events of the 20th century, yet he continued to live a full life, embodying the values of service, dedication, and humanity long after the war ended. Chandler's legacy is not just in the military service he provided, but in the way he lived his life. He demonstrated how one person's actions can have a profound effect on the lives of many. His survival of Pearl Harbor and the years that followed reflect the strength of a generation that lived through war, rebuilt their lives, and worked toward a better future. He lived to see a world dramatically different from the one he knew in 1941, and he saw the country he fought for grow stronger and more united. As we remember Harry Chandler, we honor not just his service but the countless others who served in World War II, and the generations who continue to carry the torch of their sacrifices. His story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and his life is a reminder of the debt we owe to those who answered the call of duty in our nation's time of need. Chandler's passing leaves a hole in the fabric of American history, But his legacy lives on in the memories of those who knew him, in the stories he shared, and in the generations who will continue to be inspired by his bravery, compassion, and unwavering commitment to others. May we never forget the lessons of history, and may we always honor the heroes like Harry Chandler, who made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure that the freedoms. Scars of this conflict would linger for generations. Reconstruction brought significant progress, including constitutional amendments that abolished slavery, granted citizenship, and protected voting rights. However, systemic racism and segregation persisted, creating a long struggle for civil rights that continues to this day. The Industrial Revolution transformed the United States in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Cities grew rapidly as people flocked to factories, railroads crisscrossed the country, and new technologies like electricity and the telephone revolutionized daily life. Immigrants from around the world arrived in search of the American dream, contributing to the rich tapestry of cultures that define the nation. The 20th century brought new challenges and opportunities. The United States emerged as a global power after World War I and cemented its leadership during World War II. The post-war era saw economic prosperity, the civil rights movement, and the space race, as the nation strove to live up to its ideals of equality and innovation. The 20th century has brought its own set of trials. From addressing economic inequality and systemic racism to combating climate change and navigating technological advancements, the United States continues to evolve. Its strength lies in its diversity, innovation, and the enduring belief in the power of democracy. Building a nation is not a single event, but an ongoing process. It requires reflection, adaptation, and the willingness to face challenges head-on. The story of the United States is one of perseverance, of a people striving to build a more perfect union generation after generation. As we reflect on this journey, we are reminded that the United States is a work in progress. Its foundation was laid by dreamers and doers, its structure shaped by conflict and compromise, and its future depends on the vision and commitment of those who call it home. This is the story of Building a Nation, a story that continues to unfold, shaped by the aspirations, struggles, and triumphs of the American people. The story of the United States is one of ambition, resilience, and transformation. From its humble beginnings as a collection of colonies to its rise as a global leader, the journey of building this nation is a tale of struggle, unity, and an unyielding pursuit of a brighter future. It all began in the early 17th century, when European settlers arrived on the shores of what would become America. Seeking religious freedom, economic opportunity, and a fresh start, they established colonies along the eastern seaboard. These early settlements faced incredible challenges: harsh winters, unfamiliar terrain, and conflict with indigenous peoples who had called the land home for millennia. Over time, the colonies grew and prospered, but tensions with the British Crown began to escalate. Disputes over taxation, representation, and self-governance ignited a revolutionary spirit among the colonists. In 1776, this spirit culminated in the signing of the Declaration of Independence, a bold assertion of the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Revolutionary War that followed was a grueling struggle for freedom. Against overwhelming odds, the colonists, led by figures like George Washington, fought for their independence. With the eventual support of allies like France, they secured victory in 1783, and the United States of America was born. The founding of the nation was marked by great debates and compromises. The Constitutional Convention of 1787 brought together leaders to draft a new framework for governance. The U.S. Constitution established a federal system with checks and balances, laying the foundation for democracy. Yet, this vision of equality was incomplete. Women, enslaved individuals, and indigenous peoples were excluded from the rights and protections it promised. As the young nation expanded westward, it encountered new challenges and opportunities. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 and the annexation of territories pushed the U.S. to its modern borders. But this growth often came at a cost. Indigenous peoples were displaced, wars were fought, and the question of slavery loomed large over the nation's conscience. The Civil War was a defining moment in the United States